Respect is not demanded, it is inspired. When someone tries to force respect, it often creates the opposite effect. People may comply on the surface out of fear or obligation, but deep down, that feeling is not genuine respect. It's submission. And submission has an expiration date. True respect lives in the heart, not in forced behavior. It is something that people freely give when they feel moved by who you are and how you treat them. Think of the difference between a boss who shouts orders and one who quietly models excellence. The shouting boss may get results, but those results are transactional. The quiet leader who embodies discipline, fairness, and humility doesn't need to shout. Their presence speaks louder than their voice. People watch, people feel, and over time they choose to admire. That is the power of inspiration over demand. Respect flourishes when others sense authenticity. We can sense when someone is pretending, when they are performing only to gain approval. That kind of behavior doesn't invite respect, it creates distance. But when someone is unapologetically themselves, flawed, learning, growing, we lean in. We trust them more because they're real. Respect is born not from perfection, but from presence and honesty. It is also deeply connected to how you make others feel. If people leave conversations with you feeling smaller, disrespected, or unheard, you've lost an opportunity to earn their respect. But if they leave feeling seen, valued, and uplifted, they associate you with dignity, and dignity is the soil in which respect grows. Every small interaction is a chance to plant that seed. Respect cannot be bought with titles, wealth, or power. History is full of leaders who had authority yet were despised by their people. At the same time, there are countless individuals without wealth or status who command immense respect simply by the way they live. This tells us that respect is less about position and more about character. Titles can fade, but the imprint of character endures. One of the most striking qualities that inspires respect is consistency. When your values remain steady, when your promises are kept, when people know where you stand even in uncertainty, they begin to rely on you. And reliance is the foundation of respect. Without consistency, people may admire you one day and distrust you the next. But with it, they anchor themselves to you. We also respect those who give without keeping score. When someone helps, guides, or supports us without the hidden agenda of what do I get back, our natural response is gratitude, and that gratitude grows into respect. Contribution, generosity, and the ability to serve beyond self. Interest inspires something far deeper than obedience. They inspire loyalty. Finally, respect is magnetic because it reflects something universal. When we see someone live in alignment with values we aspire to, integrity, courage, kindness, we are reminded of what we admire in humanity itself. They become a mirror, showing us what is possible. We respect them not just for who they are, but for what they awaken in us. Respect begins with self-awareness. It is impossible to project confidence, clarity, or authenticity if you are unsure of who you are. People are drawn to those who know their own values, their strengths, and even their weaknesses. Without this grounding, interactions become inconsistent, and others sense the uncertainty. Respect fades when people cannot read what you stand for or who you truly are. Self-awareness is not about perfection. It is about honesty. When you know your limits, you are less likely to overpromise or pretend. This creates a sense of reliability. Others come to trust you, not because you are flawless, but because you are clear and transparent. Clarity is magnetic. It draws people closer, and with that closeness comes a natural respect. There's also a quiet power in knowing your triggers and blind spots. People respect those who can manage themselves, who don't lash out uncontrollably or collapse under pressure. Self-awareness gives you the ability to pause, to respond rather than react. That pause is often what separates someone who loses respect from someone who gains it. When you are self-aware, you are less defensive. You do not need to prove yourself at every turn. Instead, you invite others into conversation, into challenge, even into disagreement. This openness communicates security. And people respect security because it signals strength without arrogance. Insecurity disguised as authority rarely inspires respect. It only creates distance. Respect grows stronger when you understand your purpose. People value those who are anchored in something bigger than themselves. Self-awareness gives you that anchor. It allows you to articulate not just what you do, but why you do it. When others can see that your actions are tied to a deeper intention, they begin to view you as someone worth listening to, worth trusting, worth respecting. It also changes the way you treat others. When you understand yourself, you no longer need to diminish others to feel significant. Instead, you create space for them to shine. This balance of confidence and humility comes directly from self-awareness. It is a paradox. The more you understand yourself, the less you need to center yourself, and the more others willingly give you their respect. Self-awareness fuels growth. People respect those who are willing to evolve, who acknowledge where they fall short and take steps to improve. It shows maturity, and maturity commands respect more than bravado ever could. In this sense, respect is not about standing still in certainty, but about moving forward with humility. At its core, self-awareness makes you predictable in the best way. Others know how you will show up, what you will prioritize, how you will respond under pressure. That predictability builds trust, and trust is the foundation of respect. When you know yourself, you give others a clear reason to value you because they no longer have to guess who you are. Consistency builds trust. People watch what we do far more than they listen to what we say. When our actions align with our words again and again, others begin to feel safe around us. That safety is the foundation of trust, and trust is the soil where respect takes root. Without consistency, even the most inspiring words eventually lose their weight. Think of a friend who always shows up when they say they will. Over time, you never question whether they'll be there. You just know. Now think of someone who promises often but delivers rarely. No matter how much you like them, a part of you holds back. Respect doesn't live in broken promises, it grows in reliability. Consistency doesn't mean rigidity, it means alignment. When your values guide your decisions, even in moments of change, people can still recognize the thread of integrity that runs through you. They may not always agree with your choices, but they will respect the steadiness of your character. It is not sameness that earns respect, but coherence. Inconsistency creates confusion. When people never know which version of you they will encounter, trust weakens. One day you're warm, the next distant. One day you champion a principle, the next you ignore it. That unpredictability keeps others on guard, and guardedness is the enemy of respect. Consistency is tested most in difficult times. It is easy to keep promises when life is smooth, but true character reveals itself under pressure. When someone holds firm to their values, even in challenge, others notice. They may not say it aloud, but their respect deepens quietly because they've seen authenticity under fire. Leaders, mentors, friends, anyone who maintains consistency become touchstones for others. People naturally gravitate toward those they can count on. In a world of uncertainty, consistency feels like stability. And stability is one of the most powerful currencies of respect. Consistency also extends to small actions. Respect isn't built only on grand gestures, but on the daily patterns people observe. A simple habit of following through, of honoring time, of listening fully, these repeated behaviors accumulate into something far greater than their individual parts. Over time, they form the invisible foundation of respect. Ultimately, consistency communicates that you mean what you say. Words become more than statements, they become promises that live in action. And when others witness that alignment repeatedly, they don't just trust you, they begin to value you as someone whose presence carries weight. Listening is more powerful than speaking. When someone truly listens, it creates a space where the other person feels seen, acknowledged, and valued. That experience is rare, because so often conversations become competitions of who can talk more or prove more. But when someone leans in with genuine attention, they communicate respect without saying a word. People don't always remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. Listening does not just capture words, it captures emotions, pauses, and unspoken truths. It signals that the other person's perspective matters. And when people feel that their voice has weight, they naturally extend respect in return. Listening also reveals understanding. Too often, we listen only to respond, not to understand. True listening removes the filter of judgment and opens space for empathy. Respect flows from empathy because it shows that we are willing to step outside of our own world and enter someone else's for a moment. The act of listening is an act of humility. It says, I don't need to be the center right now. In a culture where so many fight to be heard, choosing to listen sets you apart. That humility is powerful because it communicates strength and restraint. People respect those who do not always need the spotlight, but instead create space for others to shine. Listening is also a form of consistency. When you listen today and tomorrow and again the next time, people learn they can count on you to care. That reliability deepens their trust. Over time, your presence becomes associated with a sense of safety where their words won't be dismissed or minimized. In conflict, listening is transformative. Arguments often spiral because each side is fighting to be heard, yet neither is actually hearing. When one person chooses to pause and listen, the entire dynamic shifts. Respect emerges not because the problem disappears, but because the willingness to hear dissolves the barrier of defensiveness. Listening requires patience. It demands that we slow down, resist the urge to interrupt, and allow silence to carry meaning. That patience signals discipline and control, qualities that others admire. The more someone feels that you can sit with their story without rushing, the more deeply they begin to respect your presence. At its core, listening is about connection. Respect is born when people sense they are not invisible, that their experiences and ideas have value. Speaking may inform, but listening transforms. It transforms relationships, trust, and ultimately the way others choose to value you. Respect grows in vulnerability, not authority. Authority may compel compliance, but vulnerability invites connection. When someone allows others to see their imperfections, fears, or uncertainties, it creates a bridge of humanity. People don't admire masks, they admire honesty. And through that honesty, respect finds deeper roots than authority could ever reach. Authority often creates distance. It separates one person from another, establishing hierarchy instead of connection. Vulnerability, on the other hand, narrows that distance. It says, I am like you. That simple acknowledgement dissolves barriers and builds trust. Respect is not born from being untouchable, but from being relatable. When people share their struggles, they invite others into their story. That invitation fosters empathy, and empathy is one of the strongest pathways to respect. We don't just respect people for their achievements. We respect them for what they've endured and how they've grown through it. Vulnerability reveals that growth in a way authority never can. Vulnerability also signals courage. It takes far more strength to admit, "I don't know," than to pretend to have all the answers. This kind of honesty commands respect because it reflects a rare confidence. The confidence to be authentic without fear of judgment. People value those who have the bravery to show up as they truly are. In leadership, vulnerability reshapes power. A leader who admits mistakes and listens openly doesn't lose respect, they gain it. Their openness demonstrates humility, and humility strengthens bonds. Teams and communities respect those who lead with humanity because it creates a culture of trust instead of fear. Vulnerability also deepens relationships on a personal level. When someone shares their truth, it often encourages others to do the same. This reciprocity creates a cycle of openness that strengthens connection. Respect grows because it is no longer based on image or performance, but on real human exchange. Authority alone can feel fragile because it depends on position or title. Vulnerability, however, cannot be taken away. It is an expression of character, not circumstance. People respect what is real and lasting, not what is temporary. Authority fades when the title is gone, but vulnerability leaves an enduring impression. At its essence, vulnerability communicates trust in others. By opening up, you say, "I believe you can hold this truth with care." That act of trust often inspires people to rise to the responsibility. And in meeting that responsibility, they respond with the only thing that feels natural, genuine respect. Contribution over competition. Respect doesn't grow in the shadow of rivalry, it flourishes in the light of generosity. When someone chooses to contribute rather than compete, they show that their value is not threatened by the success of others. This mindset shifts the focus from self-promotion to collective growth, and people naturally respect those who invest in the bigger picture. Competition often narrows vision. It makes interactions transactional, reducing people to opponents to be beaten rather than partners to be uplifted. Contribution, however, expands vision. It says, "What can all win if we share, support, and collaborate?" Respect emerges from this broader perspective because it demonstrates maturity and security. Those who contribute create environments where others thrive. Instead of hoarding knowledge, they share it. Instead of taking credit, they give it. This kind of generosity fosters trust and loyalty. People respect those who are not afraid to let others shine because it shows confidence rather than insecurity. Contribution also communicates integrity. In moments where someone could undercut another to advance themselves, choosing to help instead signals strong character. That decision becomes memorable. Respect grows not just from what we achieve, but from how we achieve it, and helping others along the way leaves a lasting impression. In workplaces and communities, contributors become pillars. They may not always be the loudest or the most decorated, but their impact is undeniable. People know who they can turn to for guidance, encouragement, or collaboration. Over time, this reliability builds a reservoir of respect that competition alone could never produce. Competition often creates fleeting victories, but contribution builds legacies. When someone dedicates themselves to lifting others, their influence extends beyond individual achievements. Respect deepens because people see not just a competitor chasing wins, but a builder shaping futures. Contribution also creates connection. Helping others fosters gratitude, and gratitude nurtures respect. Unlike competition, which isolates and divides, contribution draws people closer together. Respect follows naturally when someone consistently proves they are invested in more than just themselves. At the heart of it, contribution reflects a mindset of abundance. It says there is enough success, recognition, and opportunity to go around. This belief dismantles jealousy and comparison, replacing them with support and encouragement. And people respect those who choose abundance because they create a world where everyone is invited to rise. Integrity is the currency of respect. People may admire skills, talents, or accomplishments, but without integrity, that admiration rarely turns into lasting respect. Integrity means that values are not just spoken but lived, even when it costs something. When people see consistency between what you claim to stand for and how you act, trust grows naturally, and respect follows. Even small betrayals of values weaken that trust. A broken promise, a hidden truth, or a compromised principle may seem minor in the moment, but these cracks accumulate over time. People notice patterns, and when integrity is compromised, respect slowly slips away. It doesn't take a grand failure to lose credibility. Small betrayals can be just as damaging. Integrity isn't tested when everything is easy, it's tested in moments of temptation and pressure. Choosing honesty when lying would be easier, or fairness when favoritism could benefit you, communicates strength of character. Respect deepens when others see that values are not negotiable, even in challenging circumstances. Integrity also creates predictability in relationships. People know where you stand and what you stand for, which removes uncertainty. That predictability creates safety, and safety is a foundation of respect. Without it, people second-guess motives and question reliability, eroding the respect that might otherwise grow. Living with integrity requires courage. It often means standing apart, saying no when others say yes, or refusing shortcuts that compromise principles. This kind of courage may not always win popularity, but it consistently earns respect. People value those who are willing to sacrifice approval for authenticity. Integrity also amplifies influence. A person may have authority or power, but without integrity, that influence feels hollow. With integrity, even those without formal titles can inspire and lead others because their words and actions carry undeniable weight. Respect does not flow from position alone, it flows from character. Integrity is visible not only in big decisions but also in daily habits. Respect grows when people see honesty in the small things, credit given where it's due, promises kept, and fairness shown even when no one is watching. These moments accumulate into a reputation that people can trust. Ultimately, integrity communicates alignment between who you are and how you live. People may forgive mistakes, but they rarely forgive betrayal of values. Respect is not granted to perfection, it is granted to consistency and principle. When integrity holds firm, respect naturally endures. Respect creates a ripple effect. It begins in a single interaction, often small and unassuming, but its impact spreads far beyond the moment. A genuine gesture of respect, listening without judgment, acknowledging someone's effort, or treating them with dignity, plants a seed that grows into something larger. People carry that experience with them and are more likely to extend the same respect to others. When respect is shown authentically, it reshapes the atmosphere of relationships. It shifts conversations from defensive to open, from transactional to meaningful. People mirror the energy they receive, and when that energy is rooted in respect, it fosters cycles of trust and kindness that expand outward into wider circles. The ripple effect of respect is especially visible in communities and workplaces. One person modeling respect sets a standard that others unconsciously adopt. Over time, the culture shifts, and what began as an individual choice becomes a collective norm. Respect moves from being an exception to being an expectation. Respect also influences how people view themselves. When someone feels genuinely respected, it affirms their worth. That affirmation strengthens confidence, which in turn shapes how they engage with others. A single act of respect can create a chain reaction where people step into interactions with greater openness and dignity. Even small gestures of respect hold power. Acknowledging someone's contribution, thanking them sincerely, or treating them fairly may seem simple, but these moments accumulate. Each one adds another ripple, quietly influencing the tone of countless future exchanges. The ripple effect can also cross boundaries of difference. Respect breaks down walls of division by showing recognition of another's humanity, even when perspectives or backgrounds differ. This willingness to honor others despite disagreement encourages reciprocity, which widens the circle of mutual value. When respect is withheld, its absence also spreads. Disrespect often breeds defensiveness, resentment, or retaliation, creating ripples of negativity. Choosing respect disrupts that cycle and replaces it with something constructive, proving that small acts can redirect the flow entirely. At its core, the ripple effect of respect reveals that value is contagious. To respect someone is not only to shape their perception of you, but to influence how they will go on to treat others. The reach of one choice extends farther than we can see, touching lives we may never encounter.